Okay, KO, Let's Be Heroes is a show that I would say I'm pretty well versed in. I've watched the show at least a dozen times at this point, and I would say I know more than the average viewer. However, this past year, I was shocked to find out just how much unreleased and obscure material there is surrounding the show. Stuff that I've never heard anyone on the internet talk about before. So, as usual, I decided to spend an obscene amount of time combing through all these different sources to find the most obscure pieces of OKKO history I could find and go through the most interesting parts of it. Before we begin, while I should point out that I am compiling all of this into an easy to consume YouTube video, I strongly recommend digging through the sources that I've used, mainly the OKKO Tumblr, the fan wiki, and many of the crew's personal social media accounts all contributed massively to this video, all of which will be linked in the description. I'll start with the more generally well-known stuff and slowly go down the rabbit hole of obscurity. My favorite discoveries from the crew's Tumblr were these sick unreleased title cards. As you know, normally the OKKO title cards look like this, but these are fully unique poster-style title cards made for the episodes. These are really cool, and part of me wishes that they were used officially in some way to promote the episodes before they aired or something. Polish them up a little bit and you have a genuinely great teasers to these episodes. Some of my personal favorites include Stop Attacking the Plaza, Let's Have a Stakeout, You Are Rad, with this trippy color scheme and special delivery, which is probably the most unique of these. It low-key reminds me of a Clarence title card, mixing live action with the actual cartoon element of the show. Rad and Enid's costume in this are sick too. And again, why were these never used in the show? I would have loved to see these. The OKKO crew blog also houses a bunch of official backgrounds, storyboards, character models, and art pieces that were never released anywhere else. When it comes to the background art, my favorites have to include the stuff from the crossover Nexus special. It just has so much detail to it that may never be fully appreciated when you're watching the whole episode. That's why I love animated tumblers and stuff. You get to see things like this and fully appreciate the work that went into the art alone. My other favorite is this drawing of Point Prep during nighttime. Just looking at it, it's an absolute vibe and would make for a dope wallpaper if it was only the right aspect ratio. Here's a couple of promotional posters for the show, as well as a poster for something called the OKKO Game Jam, which I'll actually talk about later, so stay tuned. The poster itself is fire too. The show's art style works perfectly with pixel art. And when it comes to fan art, I actually found this old photo of the fan art board the crew had back in the day. It's a real testament to how many people the show impacted and inspired. My personal favorite that I found has to be this one by Hakuto Oshiro. Each character is represented so well in this, and it kind of makes me wish there was an episode where the entire cast watched an episode or something. Not like in Let's Watch the Pilot kind of way, with all that meta shit. I mean just all of the characters sitting in one room reacting to the episode. When it comes to storyboards for the show, the blog has no shortage of stuff to go through. It's such a great feeling seeing all of these storyboards of moments and episodes that are pretty much ingrained into my brain at this point, seeing where they actually came from and started out as just simple sketches. However, I was pretty shocked to find out there was a whole section of crossover annexes that was storyboarded but never made it to animation. There's some cut gags that honestly would have been hilarious if they were included, like KO exclaiming that everything was canon, and there even appears to be an entirely removed character known as Perfect Ally. I really don't know where this would have gone, as there's not enough info that I can gather from the storyboards, so one can only assume. There was also going to be a character called Red Raven, which is exactly what it sounds like, a red version of the character Raven. There's boards from I Am Dendi, which is a personal favorite episode of mine, and there's just something so cute about seeing these unpolished drawings of KO and Enid playing tag. The episodes You Have to Care and Villains Night In also have plenty of storyboards too, and watching the episodes side by side with the storyboard really gives you an idea of the work that a storyboard artist actually has to do to get the message across to the animator in the right way. There are many great posts about old and special designs for the characters. There's this old design of Enid, which was drawn by none other than Rebecca Sugar of Steven Universe fame. One-off designs from the episode Let's Watch the Pilot. There's even this old logo for when the show was still in early development, which was actually referenced in the episode Let's Watch the Pilot. The most in-depth and interesting of these posts, though, actually belongs to the character Boxman Jr., which goes in-depth into the design inspirations and thought process behind how the characters should look. Unsurprising to anyone who watched the episode, the main inspiration for the character was Bowser, but also Olimar from the Pikmin video game series, and Babyhead Commando from the video game Captain Commando. Seriously, this is one of the most interesting reads I had while making this video. I highly recommend it. One of the most interesting things I found were these old episode commentaries that were posted on the blog. Only a few of these exist, and they weren't done for every single episode, but they're filled with so many cool details about the production of the episodes that any OKKO fan would find interesting. Do You Have Any More in the Back was originally derived from a 2013 version of Ian's pitch Bible for the show, although the two episodes have nothing in common story-wise. The episode was written by Ian and Toby around 2015 when full production of the show began, but they were told by CN to push the episode back since it's a more deconstructive look at Rad's character. Everybody Loves Rad is a combination of two separate episode ideas, described as Rad's viral video and Rad Goes to Hollywood. It's also revealed that the first half of the season was specifically planned for Enid and Rad to have an equal amount of episodes. Face Your Fears was supposed to come before TKO, but ended up being produced first because the episode Legends of Mr. Gar had to be made first. To quote directly from the post, "This was the luxury of knowing the show would premiere with a month of episodes. We were working so far ahead that we could produce some episodes out of order and then make sure they aired in order. My Dad Can Beat Up Your Dad is another episode that comes from Ian's original pitch babble from the show, but unlike Do You Have Any More in the Back, this one is almost entirely unchanged from the original pitch, dating all the way back to 2012. There's even the original design for Chameleon Jr. drawn by Ian and Danny Hines. Now we get to the really obscure stuff. If you've been watching this video and have known everything up to this point, 1, congratulations, and 2, I can guarantee there's at least one thing going forward in this video that you have never seen. Now, if you talk to any average fan of the show for long enough, one thing you'll always hear them say is, "Man, I wish they made POW Cards into an actual thing." But a real fan, like myself, will know that they actually did. These limited edition sets of POW Cards were handed out at the OKKO Game Jam, which I'm still not going to talk about. Just wait, I'll get to it, I promise. They were made while the show was still in early production, so some of the designs aren't akin to their final version. From the few photos I could find, some of the more minor characters in the pack were Dogman, Gertie, Mr. Logic, Topher, and Sparkle among the main characters, obviously. These packs were made as a sort of prototype for how an OKKO trading card game would look, but unfortunately nothing like this ever officially came out of the show. Which sucks because this was such an obvious business move. Like, it was right in CN's face and they did nothing with it. You know how many of these they would have sold if they actually made them? The rest of the merch I have to show off comes from San Diego Comic-Con. As such, these items are only available at a specific time and place, making them extremely rare to find now. There's this matching shirt and patch. There's buttons of KO, Enid, Rad, Mr. Gar, and Daryl. A face mask, which I would actually love to get my hands on someday. If anybody has this, please let me know. I will pay you a total of $3 for it. The most rare piece I have to show off is this mini arcade machine that was used as a giveaway by Cartoon Network. You won it by answering the question underneath this Instagram post. What episode did we first see TKO? The arcade machine also came with a mini DVD collection of the show up to that point. To my knowledge, only one of these were ever made and given away, so I can only imagine the price we'd go for now if it was on eBay or something. I'm sure everyone watching this is aware of the fact that OKKO Let's Be Heroes came out at the same time as the mobile game, OKKO Let's Play Hero. But what if I told you there was another game released for the show that I can guarantee you've never heard of? Let me introduce you to Dynamite Botkin's Action News. This game was actually the winner of a game jam that was held by Cartoon Network. A game jam, for those unaware, is a competition where game developers are typically given 48 hours to make an entire game, and the best game gets the opportunity to be fully developed and published. The game follows Dynamite Watkins as the lead character, and she goes around using her journalistic powers to fight bad guys and such. There's really not much to it. It's a short mobile game, but I find the whole history behind it and the fact that nobody talks about it at all so interesting. The game was taken down from the App Store, and to my knowledge, there's no way to play it now, not for me at least. Which sucks because from the video that I watched about the game jam, which is a whole 17 minutes long, there was a lot of passion put into it, as well as all of the other games that were developed for it. And the 3 devs who won definitely did a good job with the art and mechanics from what I can tell. Justice for this game, man. I really want to play it someday. And that's pretty much all the obscure OKKO stuff that I have to show off. If you want to see the stuff for yourself, I'll have a link to a drive in the description, as well as all of the other sources I use, like the blog, the social media accounts, and all that stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Take care.